To think about this, right? I was trying to think about this, and I don't know. I don't know because they're different. Because look at this, right? I don't think it's a low bar. It's a different conversation. Because let me put this in perspective, right? Let me put this into perspective over here, right? Let's do a pointing system right here, right? So let's say what story? What other bullet points should it be? Like levels, challenges, music. What else did you do? Gameplay slash mechanics. Right? Post game replayability. I don't think I wrote that right. Story slash cinematics. I guess you could do bosses, right? Animations. I mean, I feel like that these go hand in hand. So let me think about this. When it comes to story cinematics, I think everybody agrees this point goes to Shadow Gens by far. This is no question. The story is absolutely way better. There's better moments. It's a genuine like darker tone for the character, and it's genuinely like fantastic. Whereas like the story in Sonic Gens is like completely whatever. It is literally the definition of whatever. This is a celebration game. We just needed a story. Like I said, I don't mind the changes they did to Sonic Gen story. If anything, I liked it, to be honest. I feel like it put things into context a little bit better. For how they did the rewrites for Sonic Gens, even if some of the way the voice direction was different. But I think, so that was solid. But Gens, like, come on, man. Shadow dealing with his past is so much different than like Sonic visiting the past, which I think is so much better. Levels. This is the big one if we're talking base levels. In order to assess this, I feel like I gotta go like stage per stage. So if I think like, I don't know, Green Hill. See, this is the hard one because then you go like Space Colony Arc. Let's see, 3D versus Space Colony 2D, right? Space Colony. What do we think is a better level here? I think Sonic stages are more about speed and reactions, whereas Shadows are less about speed and more about platforming. For example, I would immediately say, right, I would immediately see Space Colony Arc Act 2, the 2D one, is better than classic Sonics. If I was to be frankly honest with you, which I would rather play, if you told me, Fidel, which would you genuinely rather play? Green Hill 3D 2D or Space Colony 3D 2D? I would pick Space Colony, even though I really love Green Hill Zone. So I would give this point to Space Colony. And then if I think of Chemical Plant, you know, I guess it would be versus Rail Canyon. See, I think modern Chemical Plant is still pretty peak, but it still deals with the annoying in the water areas, but there is a lot of cool fucking branching paths. The best way to explain, if you fall in the water, that's your fault. Exactly. I would say Chemical Plant 3D is still a better level than Rail Canyon, even though the Rail Canyon level is really good, but I would prefer playing Rail Canyon's 2D level over Chemical Plant's 2D level. So I would say like these two are even. Right, these are even, and then you would go to stage 3 here, which is what's the third? Sky Sanctuary. Versus what's the next level after Rail Canyon? I guess no, it would be Kingdom Valley. Kingdom Valley. To be frankly honest with you, would rather play Kingdom Valley. Really, I really would just play either or for Kingdom Valley, you know? And so, yeah, I think I would give this one to Shadow. And then we have Speed Highway. And then I did versus, what would be the next one? Sunset Heights. Ooh, that's a tough one, man. I'm going to be honest with you. See, that's the thing. I don't know it's Sunset because the Speed Highway level in Sonic Gens is fucking fantastic. The 2D one, I would say, clears for Sunset Heights. I think Sunset Heights 2D is one of my favorite 2D levels in general. For me, I would say, again, this one's even. Speed Highway is one of the best classic stages. Did I think about Chaos controlling the rubble? Fuck, you're right, man. Yeah, plus you think of, you know what? Yeah, I would give this to Shadow, to be honest with you. I really would. And then what's the next level? It would be City Escape. And then it would be, I guess, Chaos Island. This is a tough one because, no, it's not a tough one. City Escape wins this. I think this is Sonic's. This one goes to Sonic. I think Chaos Island is really dope. I love it. And again, the more I play it, the more I like the level. But one, Chaos Island doesn't get the crazy like visual effect change stuff that some of the other levels get. So I feel like it doesn't go like that. City Escapes 3D is still pretty incredible. And I think the 2D part of Chaos Island, like Act 2, is like great, but it's not crazy. Whereas I think City Escape in 2D does the really fun gimmick with the skateboard. The City Escape is still like an immaculate vibe, you know? If you ask me, Fidel, what do you want to play? City Escape in Gens or Chaos Island? I'm gonna be like, dude, I want to hop on City Escape, but that's the goal right there. And then it would be Seaside Hill against Radical Highway. Radical Highway 1,000,000,000% clears, no question, right? They're both 3D actually, and it's actually both Radical Highway, you know, which Seaside Hill is awesome, but the Radical Highway level is unbelievable, man. That shit has so many branching paths, it's hella challenging and everything. But Seaside Hill is still, I love it. I love it. But Radical Highway has 2 3D levels, and they both take advantage of the wings or not take advantage of the wings. It's unbelievable. So Radical Highway, easy. Now, this is where I think overall Sonic still takes a lot here. Because with Sonic, you then have Rooftop Run, you then have Crisis City, and you have Planet Wisp. Now, you could argue for me, I don't really like Planet Wisp, not good. And then I would say Rooftop, this is peak. So this would go, for example, to Sonic. I mean, I really like Crisis City 3D, not 2D. So like half. So if I was to think of this overall, right? So Shadow, 3 points for Shadow. If I give them no points for even, it would go Sonic, then Sonic. Damn, it's actually kind of even for me, which is fucking crazy. Because I feel like for Planet Wisp not being good, I almost don't even give it the point, you know? Let's say even counts a point for both of them, right? So Shadow. So that's 4 points for Shadow. And then for Sonic, it's 1, 2, 3. I think if we're talking bar for bar quality of the levels, I would give it to Shadow. So which shows you a bit more of like the quality over quantity that they've got going on, you know? This point of level design goes to Shadow. Story cinematics goes to Shadow. Now, let's do bosses, right? This is where shit gets difficult because you have rival battles. So you have Metal, you have Shadow, and you have Silver. So let's do this. So Death Egg versus BioLizard. BioLizard by far, no question. I don't like the Death Egg boss. I've been pretty vocal about that. So that's Shadow, right? And then Chaos versus Metal Overlord. Ooh, that's tough. I think I prefer the Metal Overlord fight. See, both I think are good but are flawed. Because I've always said this about the perfect Chaos fight that I've said is it feels weird not being in Supersonic in it. I'm gonna give this an even. I think they both get a point. I think they're both really good on their own merits. Egg Dragoon versus Mephiles, no question, it's Mephiles. Easily, no question. It is a more cinematic fight. It's a cooler fight. Fucking Egg Dragoon is long and drives me crazy, you know? Time Eater versus Black Doom, Devil Doom, don't even try me. Don't even try me. That goes to Shadow. What's crazy here is that means they tie because 1, 2, 3, 4 points for Shadow, 4 points for Sonic. So overall bosses, they're tied, I think. I can live with that. And then we have challenges and side content. Now, this right here is subjective. I think... No, actually, this is Shadow. Exploring the open zone is technically side content and challenge. I think the challenge gates are way better. Absolutely. Now, let's think about it like this. You have over 80 side challenges in Sonic gens, but you have how many in Shadow gens, but the open zone also counts as challenges. And I think we can all agree bar for bar, word for word, Shadow gens challenges are more intricate, they're more fun, they're more integrated, and I think they're way better. Now, music, see, that's tough. That's a tough one. That's a fucking tough one, man. But I think it goes to Sonic gens. I don't think they tie. You know, you are getting Crisis City remix, you are getting Green Hill remix, you are getting Speed Highway remix. I think this one I would fairly so give it to Sonic. People want to say even, I can live with even. I think they're both pretty good in their own merits there. I think overall, if we're talking gameplay and mechanics, Shadow takes it. I think the Doom powers, like I think when you watch a Sonic Gen speed run, they're mainly using the boost. You're doing obviously some cool tricks, but I think Shadow Gen's Doom powers allow you to experiment so much more. You can use the Doom Spears to keep your momentum up. You can use the wings as replay value for a level. Doom Surf is super fun. I think the mechanics are allowing you to do really fucking cool shit, but Sonic Gens does also have the extra abilities, you know? The skills are underrated in Gens, but I feel like they don't act as huge mechanics. So I think if we're talking overall gameplay and mechanics, I think Shadow Gens allows more. So I'm gonna give this to Shadow Gens. Sonic Gens doesn't really have a post game, right? It's mainly just do the challenges. Whereas Shadow Gens, as soon as you get the Doom Wings, you have Postgame, which is like, you have those extra gate challenges. Replayability, I think this is even. I mean, I think this is completely subjective. It depends what levels you want to play, what things you want to do, how you want to optimize your speedruns. I don't think this one is a very quantified. I feel like we still need a lot of time for it, but there's definitely a lot more to do. Open space. Like I said, I'm not even going to count that because I just feel like that's giving Shadow a point. Because again, one space is just a means to get to a spot and one is like an actual video game part of it. I'm just going to keep that in challenges and side content. So if we go, chat, overall, word for word, bar for bar, let's do this. In story and cinematic, it's Shadow Gens. Overall levels, Shadow Gens. Bosses are tied, so they each get a point. Challenge and side content, that's 4 for Shadow. Gameplay, 5 for Shadow. Post game, 6 for Shadow. So that's 6 points for Shadow. And then for Sonic, it would be 1, 2, 3. So overall, if we really analyze it word for word, bar for bar, Shadow Gens is better than Sonic Generations.